All right, this is SSLFamilyDad with Simple Sustainable Living, and today we're talking all about gardening. All right, so we've had the pigs out here preparing the soil, and it was kind of a failure on our part. The fencing, as many of you mentioned in the last video, just wasn't adequate. Those pigs I got them prevented from digging underneath it, but then they actually started jumping over it. The one male pig was light enough to just jump right over the top of that fencing. So who would have figured? So anyway, we ended up, I just couldn't keep them in here. Every day I was putting them back 3, 4, 5 times a day. They kept getting out, digging up the yard and stuff. So I put them back in the pen, but they did prepare some of the yard. You can see behind us here, and basically what I showed in the last video after about 3 or 4 days. So I'm gonna have to do some tilling. I've borrowed a tiller. I do not have one. That was one of the reasons I wanted to use the pigs, but I ended up having to borrow a tiller. I gotta get this garden set. And so grass and all, we're gonna till this whole area in. I'm going to bring up some compost and manure and some compost and some chicken bedding and stuff like that. We're going to scatter that out here. We're going to till that in. And so we're going to try to fertilize and till up the soil as best we can. So I'll show you what we've got here. And we'll show you a little bit about the soil that we were lucky enough to find in this when we moved out here as well. Okay, so for those of you who have not been following along, we're going to be, this is our front door kind of here. It's kind of like a side door actually. This house isn't really facing the road. And right out the door will be our garden. This is what's called a kitchen garden. Kitchen garden is basically an old kind of homestead term for a garden that is for your own consumption. It's a garden you're generally close to your home. You can just walk out, grab things when you're in the kitchen for cooking and stuff like that. This will be the biggest garden area that we've ever had. This will be our first, start for this year. And next year we'll go ahead and do more production style gardening, which will be for sale and things like that. So we got to prepare the grass here, prepare the ground here. I would not have let the grass grow this long if I weren't trying to let the pigs in here to eat off of it. So this year is going to be tough. We're going to have a lot of grass that will be ground into the soil, but it is what it is, and it'll just break down and help fertilize things. And we're going to use some other methods to keep weeding down and stuff like that. So this is what we scraped out here, was all the manure that we cleaned out of the stalls when we moved in here. It was all horse manure and straw and hay. The chickens then messed around with it all winter and fall, and it all composted down. So what I'm going to do now, I think, is probably get a bunch of sand in here so that the goats and stuff can get in and out of their stall a little better. But they'll be out in the pasture here in the next 30 days anyway. So, but the chickens will love this. They'll come in here and they'll wear this whole pile down again. We'll keep using this compost for our gardens this year. So we'll probably use all this. But man, is this stuff great! Compost manure, horse, sheep, goat manure is just perfect for gardens. We got a pretty good pile of compost here. This stuff is gonna, man, it's rich. It's just this is the source of nitrogen that plants just love, and the worms will get in here and keep breaking this stuff down. There's still some straw and stuff in here, but this is good broken down compost. So compost manure. I also have another compost pile that is still kind of cooking down from leaves and kitchen scraps and stuff from last year. I may just dump that right in the pasture and let the chickens sort through it too. But so what I'll do with this, and I've got we're gonna be laying out a path and stuff up here, but the soil is this year just gonna be a mix of the native soil that we have. And if you look at the soil, it's really pretty rich soil. I mean, it's got some sand in it for sure, but this area has really great soil. Yes, hello there, cat. This cat likes to meow during all of my videos, so how nice of you. This is Tapioca. Most of our animals have been named after some type of dessert. We have cookie dough, we have Oreo, we have Tapioca, we have Parfait. So, kids. I know a lot of people are wondering, why didn't you get rid of all the grass first? Well, that was originally going to be the pigs' job, but of course they kept escaping, so we had to fire them. Next year we'll have it set up a lot better. We learned a lot this year. But the grass, I tilled the grass in for time, number one. I didn't have time to kill it off. One thing you could do if you're making a new garden plot is take a tarp, just a big old blue tarp, some black tarp, camouflage tarp, whatever you got, doesn't matter. Get, two 15-foot tarps or 30-foot tarps or whatever size you need. Just lay them out and stake them out for a couple weeks before gardening season starts. At that point, you'll be able to kill off all the grass. Everything will die. You'll attract a lot of worms up to the surface. You'll keep that soil nice and moist, and they'll start to break all that stuff down. And then when you take that tarp away, get your tiller in there, you'll be ready to go, and it'll be some beautiful soil. You don't want to scrape the sod off though, because that's your best soil. You don't want to take all the best soil out of the top inch of soil off, when that's where all the nutrients are at. So you want to keep that in here as much as possible. I know we're going to deal with a little more grass and weeds and stuff like that, but every year, with a garden like this, traditional gardening is a lot different than like the square foot gardening we've done in the past. It takes years to build soil, and every year it's going to get better and better and better. So we'll see what we can do here. So I think I'll start tilling in some soil up here by the house and get this nice little bed up here. This gets nice full sun. We're going to put a trellis up by the house. So just some future plans here. What's the plan you're going to see coming up in the next week or two as these videos come out? Obviously today we're preparing soil. We're getting things ready, laying things out. Man, that homestead box stuff is coming in handy with the measuring tapes and everything else. Actually, the last 3 homestead boxes. And wait to see the next one, man. The next one is great for you gardeners. But so once we get the soil prepared, I'm going to do little bits at a time. So we'll start up here, get this done. We're going to put our path in. I'll do a video on the path we're doing, something a little bit unique. I've got a lot of wood chips and stuff. I'll talk about that. And then we're just going to kind of slowly add to this garden. We'll put the rabbit trees back up here, so we have our rabbits. The manure from the rabbits will get spread right out into the garden as those, as we clean those cages out. And then we'll have a couple kind of paths and stuff through here, but this is a really good size kitchen garden. And I think this is going to provide all the food that we need. Hopefully everything we grow we'll be able to can and preserve and save for the year. I just went yesterday and got a load of wood chips from the old park that I used to go to. Same park actually, I had to drive about 40 minutes away, but I haven't found a new local source of wood chips yet. These are nice fresh spring cut chips, and there's a lot of branches and stuff in here and who knows what else, but this is going to work great. So the deal with wood chips, I've done a video on this before. Wood chips are a process. It takes years. The Back to Eden gardening method is awesome. There's no doubt that it works, and the guy that kind of came up with it and really publicized it. I mean, people have been doing this for years, but the guy that really made it known to everyone as a system, there's nothing wrong with what he's saying or anything like that. But you have to remember, with traditional gardening again, and using Back to Eden and stuff like that, it takes time. You have to build that soil. If you just dump a whole bunch of carbon into your garden, you're going to be unhappy. It's going to rob the soil of nitrogen as the nitrogen and the carbon are broken down, and you're going to end up with stunted growth, and things aren't going to look as well as you'd hoped. So I definitely recommend using wood chips. We will be using wood chips throughout our garden. So what is the ultimate soil mix? Well, I can honestly tell you from my experience, the soil mix that has worked hands down by far the best for me is in another video that I did. So I will link to the top there. There'll be a card that'll pop up, and you can click on that little eye in the corner and check that out. I went through step by step why I chose what I chose. We used it for years. Everything we had grew better than anything that I've ever grown, and so it just hands down the best mix to do. Again, I can't use that mix here 100% because we're just getting started. This is a big area. If I wanted to use that mix here, it'd be probably a little bit too costly for us this year. So a little bit at a time. So that is everything that we are doing to prepare our soil here. This will be kind of a teaser video just to give you guys an update. I know it's been a while for those of you who are following along. And it's been a little while since we've posted anything on the garden. It's just been busy around here. So, but I'm gonna keep working at this thing. It's gonna be rainy this week, but it's almost the end of May here. It's a late start this year, but late start's better than no start at all. So, but as always, guys, questions, comments, advice. I don't mind anything, guys. I don't mind criticism. I don't mind anything you guys have. So go ahead and throw your ideas and thoughts down below. Hit thumbs up on the video, and as always, subscribe and hit that bell next to the subscribe button if you'd like to be alerted and notified when we post new videos. So as always, guys, thanks for watching. Have a good one.